Hi, so today we're going to ask the question, is there a difference in tennis performance during the day and night? And specifically, we're going to look at the first serve percentages, which is the amount of first serves that are served successfully out of all the first serve. So if you have a successful second serve, that does not count as a successful first serve. And we'll be comparing whether that differs between the day and night games. And so the question is, for the top 300 men's single tennis players, is there a significant difference between the overall first serve percentage and the first serve percentage for matches played at night? And we'll be using a significance value of 0.05, and the latest night match for each randomly selected player will be used to compare their average first serve percentage. And to create a sample for collecting observations, we assign each player a unique number between 1 and 300, and the player's rank is corresponding to the number that they are assigned. And using a random number generator, we generate 30 unique numbers, and the 30 players that are corresponding to these 30 numbers will be selected for sample. And using the ATP World Tour website, which is a database for all tennis data, and we first recorded each player's career first serve percentage, and then by looking at the player's activity section, we looked at the latest night match we could find, which is usually about 6 p.m., which is when typically lights are turned on, and record the player's first serve percentage for that match. And this was repeated for all 30 players. And here's the data that we collected for all 30 players. And to see if there's a significant difference between the night and daytime first serve percentages, we're going to do a paired t-test for the mean difference. We'll first define mu d to be the true mean difference in first serve percentage, which is the night first serve percentage minus the average first serve percentage for the top 300 ranked men's single tennis players. And the null hypothesis will be that the mu of d is equal to 0, meaning no difference, and the alternative hypotheses will be that mu of d is less than 0, meaning that the night first serve percentage is lower than the average first serve percentage. And first, we'll make sure that the condition for sampling are met in this case. And first off, we did a random sample of the top 300 ranked men's single tennis players, in that 10 times the sample size. 300 is less than or equal to the overall population size of 300. And the number of players sampled, which is 30, is greater than or equal to 30. And furthermore, the histogram of the sample data does not show strong skewness, and also the normal probability plot shows a roughly linear form. And to conduct the test, we first see how far off the sample mean is off from the true mean. And to do that, we subtract the sample mean by the true mean difference, or the no true mean difference, and divided that all over the standard deviation, which is in this case, because it's a sample, SD, which is the standard deviation of the sample difference, divided by the square root of the sample size, which is 30. And putting the numbers in, we get negative 1.4654. And since we're using the standard deviation of the sample, we'll have to use a t-graph. And to do that, we also need a df to see what the shape the t-graph is. And in this case, the df would be the number of sample individuals subtracted by 1, which is 30, subtracted by 1, which is 29. And the chance that the difference is larger than the sample difference, or as large as it, is 0.07678, which is larger than our significant level of 0.05. And to conclude, because the p-value of 0.07678 is greater than the significance level 0.05, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. There's not convincing evidence towards a smaller first serve percentage for night session matches compared to their average first serve percentage for top 300 men's single tennis players. And for the confidence interval, we'll be estimating the true mean difference in first serve percentages, which is the night first serve percentage, subtracted by the average first serve percentage for the top 300 ranked men's single tennis players. The confidence interval has all the same conditions for sampling as the significant test, and so since we met all of them during the significant test, we can assume that the same happens for a confidence interval. And to construct the confidence interval, we add the sample mean by the statistic for 90% confidence interval and times that by the standard deviation, which as earlier is standard deviation of the sample difference over the square root of the sample size, which lends us the interval negative 4.2470 to 0.31365. And to conclude, we can say that we are 90% confident that the interval negative 4.270 to 0.31365 contains the true mean difference in first serve percentage, night first serve percentage minus average first serve percentage for the top 300 ranked men's single tennis players. And since the 90% confidence interval is equivalent to one-sided paired t-test with a significance level of 0.05 when looking at plausible values, we can say that it is consistent with our conclusion of significant test because within the plausible interval for the true mean difference. As a reflection on the statistical analysis, we can say that there was a minor flaw in the sampling because the latest night match was chosen, and so time was not controlled, and thus there might be confounding variables with the time of year or season, or perhaps the difficulty of the most recent tournament. However, we kept this because determining whether a match was done at night was very difficult since the time of match was usually not well documented, and therefore we settled for using the latest one because it was much more convenient and efficient. And our p-value of 0.07678 was actually really close to the significance level cutoff of 0.05, so it would be valuable to conduct further observations with larger sample sizes and using the average of all night matches. And further related questions that can be posed include whether there is a significant difference in first serve percentage in the different seasons, and also whether or not a home court advantage exists for tennis. And thanks for watching.